Okay, it is March. Let's wrap up what I read in February. I read 9 books this month. That does include like some ebooks, some novellas, and even some plays. Overall, not crazy page count, but still I've been reading heaps. Cool. So I actually read a fair bit from the library this month. So I started off by reading With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo, and I loved it. I'm so glad I read it for the hype. It was really a fast read, and it was just very cozy, and like there was enough kind of like family drama. It did kind of wrap up a bit easy, like the kind of struggles we were having lifestyle wise was just kind of like, oh, it's fixed. And I gave it 5 stars because I just had such a great time. After that, I read Felix Ever After from the library as well by Kacen Callender. Again, I really loved this book. Similar to With a Fire on High, it was just very like eye-opening and diverse and wonderful and heartbreaking and teen angsty, but ultimately very uplifting and beautiful. And I'm pretty sure I cried at that one. It really got very close to, and that's one I definitely want to buy and have in my collection. And that was 5 stars as well. Can't remember if I said. After that, I finished Oathbringer Part 2 by Brandon Sanderson, and it took me so long. I did tab it quite a bit, as you can see. And Oathbringer has been my least favourite of the series so far, but you know, I'm still enjoying it and ready to see where it's building up. My problem with the series a bit is I think that I just prefer stories that are a bit more self-explanatory or have like a stronger romance aspect. You're kind of left in the dark a lot in this series. I'm sure on reread it might make more connections and more sense, but there's lots of things with multiple names that are similar that aren't fully explained or explored. Even like the Ars Arcanum, like the kind of magic glossary at the end, isn't that helpful because we don't really, I don't know, maybe I need to just fully read that, but a lot of that stuff I'm like, can we not just have that explained in the story? And like, it's still not super clear. Like there's all this stuff about gemstones and their properties, which I'm like, that's not even a thing. I don't think. Unless it's just that they have Stormlight in them. But that's like for different stuff. I don't know, it's just, there's a lot going on. And the tone isn't my favourite. But I'm still holding out for these characters. I want to see what happens for them. I just wish it was a bit simpler. But I get it, it's adult epic fantasy. What do you expect? Yeah. The ending of this was pretty like, woo! But I was very tired when I finished reading it. So I was still affected, but probably not as much as if I was actually rested and woohoo. It was very much like, okay, let's read this so it can be done, to be honest. So I gave it 3 stars, which is like, it was fine. It wasn't like phenomenal, but like I liked it. After that, I read Hopeless by Colleen Hoover on my e-reader, and I knew I would probably enjoy it because it's Colleen Hoover and I love everything that she writes. And so this one was a 4 star. I don't think it's my favourite of her novels, but good nonetheless, and there were some good like twists and turns, as well as just some annoying teenage-ness. Yeah, I wrote down questionable love interests, so I think there were just times where I was a bit like, okay, sure. I really loved that kind of introduction and development of the imagery and the symbolism of stars. I just thought it was really beautiful and heartbreaking and ultimately bittersweet. And as per usual with the Colleen Hoover books, there's going to be a hell of a lot of trigger warnings. I'll put so if you'd like to look them up, but basically if you have trigger warnings for kind of any kind of like abuse or like hard-hitting issues, like terrible things people do to each other, maybe don't read her books. I reread A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J Maas, and I tabbed it up this time. And so this is the second time me reading it, and I gave it 5 stars. So I think this actually bumped up from 4 on my last read. And I think it was just because I had a better understanding of the characters and everything that was happening the second time round, and because I have just kind of marathon binged them, it was in my head very clearly. There's just a lot of like bad arsery in this book, especially at the beginning with Feyre just messing some shit up. If you know, you know. We have like lots of political intrigue. We kind of have the crazy battle at the end, which I don't even think that's a spoiler. It's a finale for a fantasy series. Finale, because it's being continued now. Good stuff, Sarah. Good stuff. Love it. After that, I read The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren, and we're doing an accent for no particular reason. And it's not even consistent, but it's fine. And this was part of the Shrekathon. I've been doing very half-assed at readathons lately because I'm just mood reading, and then I have series that I want to continue or that I've left off for a while, and I'm like, I should probably pick that up. But new books come out. It's never ending. But I'm glad I read this while it was still like technically summer. And this was just like a fun rom-com read. It wasn't especially deep or insightful, but it was just like a fun romp. We did kind of have some drama, and yeah, fun times if you just want something that's not going to be too hard to think about and just going to be fun and fast. And especially I love this tall edition because we get this cover and the formatting is ridiculous. Like the font is massive. You can just kind of flop this down while you have your morning coffee or your morning tea and zoom through this. I was reading it so fast. After that, I of course had to read A Court of Frost and Starlight. I know this book gets a lot of hate because it is just a bit of like a filler novella, but I kind of disagree. And people are like, I don't care what they do for their holiday season, how they celebrate. But I don't think that was actually the main focus of this novella. It's just kind of the setting when it is. And so it was really great to see Feyre kind of come into her own and decide a way to process her trauma and help other people process their trauma, as well as like this is a really good bridge book for A Court of Silver Flames, which I'm currently reading at the moment. I'm pretty close to finishing and I'm loving it. But you know, this is a great precursor to get into this one, and if you're mad about it, it's like short. It would have been madder if she like fart-assed around for 500 pages. Happy ending, happy times. There's still tense dynamics. Also, here's some things that we can address and build upon in the next one. I gave this a 4 stars because it's fun, it's good. It's not like the best. It's fun, it's good. It's maybe not on par with some of her other books, but I don't think it deserves as much hate as it gets. Then after that, I read a play. I read The Penelope End by Margaret Atwood, which is cool. And in the introduction it had all this stuff about how it was developed from like a novel to how it was from a novel and then a play. And I think it's been through lots of different mediums and workshopping. And so I read that because auditions are coming up for that soon and I wanted to check it out. And it has potential. It has real potential. Might not be the most riveting to read because it does come across as like a very visual kind of show, but there are some kind of hard-hitting passages in there. So I'm excited about that. I gave it a solid 3 stars. And the last book I read this month was Dawnshard by Brandon Sanderson, which is installment 3.5 in the Stormlight Archive. So in between Oathbringer and Rhythm of War. And for the most part, everyone's kind of been loving it and be like, yeah, it's so much more useful than Edgedancer. I don't know if I see it. I'm not a big fan of novellas, especially if they're not doing much. Like, look, people get mad about A Court of Frost and Starlight not doing much, but this didn't really do that much either. And I thought it was going to be more Lopen, but it was more Ryzen. And like, look, we found out some stuff. It's just stuff that doesn't really have context or meaning yet. But I am excited to see where some of the repercussions of where we left off are going to fit into the broader story. Good to see some disability rep from Risen though. Risen, I don't know how to say her name, but it's fine. Yeah, I'm glad that she doesn't just get magic healed. she is paralyzed, and that's fine. And they're like discovering magics to help her move around easily. As I said before, I'm currently reading A Court of Silver Flames, which I intend to finish in the next few days. I'm very excited about it. There will be the live show with Mel Reeds and the other girls, whoever show up, and I'm excited to talk about it. From other people's thoughts, I've been hearing that other people have been like, there's not enough plot. It's not her best. And I'm like, I don't care. This is going to be a 5-star unless something goes terribly wrong in the end, which I don't think it will. I'm really enjoying the character development, the emotions, the smut, the romance, the kind of rebuilding of a lot of things. And also the start of some new adventures. So yeah, if you don't like Nesta, I'd implore you to just read it anyway, because you might change your mind. You might change your mind. We've got some redemption going on. But also like not just sugarcoating and forgetting things either. I'm also currently reading Teardrop by Lauren Kate. I've been reading this for a while now, but put it down to read other things. So that's fun. And look, I'm like about halfway. This isn't going to take me very long. I'm just not as excited to read it as, say, ACOSOF. I don't want to do a full March TBR, so I'm just going to chuck some things at you that are probably going to be a priority. My number 2 ones being A Vow So Bold and Deadly, because I still haven't gotten to this, and Chain of Iron. And I don't feel as bad about not getting to this yet because it's brand new. So these, for sure. And then I would really like to read Six of Crows before the Shadow and Bone Netflix show comes out, because I don't want to be spoiled for anything, and this is long overdue. Long overdue. So yeah, these are the main ones. I'd like to finish Teardrop, probably continue on to the sequel Waterfall. And then, I don't even know, man. And then probably just continuing / finishing some series, so like probably like some Aurora burning action. That's gonna happen soon. As well as a bit of Children of Virtue and Vengeance. I feel like the 3rd book could be coming out soon. I don't know. I've heard this one isn't as good, but I'm excited. And then possibly The Retribution of Mara Dyer. But I'm not 100% convinced I'm going to continue with this series just because I thought it was okay. But like, I have the whole series and like there is a bit of a mystery aspect. As well as continuing with the Thief series. It's either King of Toliar or Conspiracy of Thieves. Conspiracy of Kings. One of the King ones is next. And I'm borrowing these from my friend. And like, they're cool. I think I just need to read them with a bit of momentum because I kind of forgot a lot of what happened when I read the 2nd book, and they're a different tone than I'm used to, but I'm willing to give it a shot because I trust you, Rachel. I trust you, and I want to love these. I like the artwork. Very nice. So these are the 4 books from my physical TBR I read this month, which kind of looks a bit pitiful, but keeping in mind that there were library books and plays and ebooks, it's not that bad. Let's look at some stats. This is chaos. Yes, I'm drinking Pepsi out of a crot crystal glass. So in February, I read a total of 47 hours and 10 minutes. I read 2,764 pages. The most pages I read in a day was 134. The most minutes I read in a day was 112. My average number of pages a day was 98. Alright, now I gotta show you the books I hauled this month. So, as per usual, I've been buying more books than I could ever possibly read in a reasonable amount of time. But so, my hauled books include A Vow So Bold and Deadly and Chain of Iron because they were new and I pre-ordered them, so that was expected, that's fine. I also got some ebooks. I got Bear and the Nightingale. I got A River of Royal Blood. I got Water for Elephants. I got The Colour of Magic. And I got Bone Shard Daughter. Most of these were on sale and I couldn't resist. I managed to buy a copy of Cat in a Hot Tin Roof by Tennessee Williams, and this isn't being added to my TBR because I've already read it. I read it once many years ago. It actually came to town recently and I went and saw it, and there was a lot I forgot, but it's nice to have a copy and maybe still some monologues from Maggie the cat for myself. I also obtained Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas. I also want to get On the Come Up, but I haven't seen it in stores lately, which is frustrating, so I might just order it online And this is probably going to be upsetting again, but I still want to read it. I got Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. I've read this one before. I'd like to reread it, and I'd like that I own a copy, and I like this cover as well, that it's all fiery and kind of simple cartoon style. And the last book I bought this month was Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey. I got this in Fahrenheit 451 as like a 2-for-1 deal, or like buy one get one half off kind of thing. And I've been wanting to buy this for a really long time, so it was very satisfying to finally pick it up. This also has a show, which is just called The Expanse, which is the name of the series. And I've heard it sold a lot as Game of Thrones in space. So what else is there? I want to read some more sci-fi, and I don't think I've read like any or hardly any adult sci-fi, so I've got really high expectations for this. That's all there is to say. Bye bye!